The governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress in Akwa Ibom State, Mr. Onnoghen, continues to seek support of residents as he takes his campaign to 4 local government areas. He reminds the people of the development he brought to the area while in charge of the Niger Delta Development Commission and promised to do more by opening up more roads and reviving abandoned projects. That's if he's elected governor.
Enthusiastic supporters of the All Progressives Congress in Ibom local government area of Akwa Ibom State occupy streets and roads in a rousing welcome of the party's governorship candidate and his entourage. The people, through their representatives, did not waste any time in presenting their needs to the candidate.
We want to hear as soon as I saw it that Pt.3 is pronounced.
While appreciating their support, the APC governorship candidate promises to live up to their expectations if elected governor come March the 2nd.
I want to stand here today and assure all of you in Ibom that as God lives, as your governor, we will do everything possible, working with the federal government. We'll remove all the impediments and ensure that that project comes to life.
From Ibom, the campaign team proceeds to Onnoghen with party faithful in tow.
Thank you.
Here, Mr. Kere promises to actualize the Ibaka deep sea port. In Uyo local government area, turnout of party supporters was impressive, even at night, as they wait to hear from the APC campaign team.
We're going to deliver the Uyo Electoral District, not only Uyo local government, we're going to deliver, and you are going to be a witness. It's not rigging. People will vote because of the personality involved.
As the All Progressives Congress takes the message of change across the state, the size of the party keeps increasing, with new members and defectors joining from other parties.
The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) is planning to probe the federal government's trader money scheme for possible violation of campaign finance laws. The chairman of the electoral body, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, explains that the commission would study public comments on the scheme and find out if the federal government violated the campaign finance laws. He says the commission has a mechanism for tracking campaign finance violations by the candidates and their parties.
It is the 2019 fourth quarter strategy session of the Federal Road Safety Corps, and the primary focus of this meeting is the 2019 general election.
In between, they are waiting for the elections to be over, and the polling unit is not far away.
The electoral umpire and the Road Safety Agency are collaborating. The chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, makes a presentation. He lists 10 areas of collaboration between the electoral body and the Federal Road Safety Corps.
The screening of the particulars of drivers to be engaged for electoral activities. Please have their records, their name, address, telephone numbers, and also the driving license. We have discussed that with the co-marshal. It is important so that we also track them. The second is inspection of the vehicles. Do we have the right vehicles? Sometimes, as part of the MOU, we'll ask for a particular type of vehicle, and something else will be brought on election day. There is need to track so that we get the right kind of vehicles and the roadworthiness of the vehicles. So there is need to inspect to ensure that the vehicles are actually in good working condition for elections. Your call center and emergency response centers, we are confident that this will be made available in case the services of this call and emergency centers are required.
The Road Safety Commission is designing strategies and guidelines for officials during the election. FRSC says a total of 20,000 officials will be deployed for the election across the country.
So that if this toll-free number 122 is on the INEC website for call, people can call it, but we need somebody here, or you give us a number that we can be relating the message to. We can't get you, you'll be very busy. Somebody must call from your center there and relay the message so that they can be appropriate schedule officer will then be contacted at your headquarters.
While preparations for the election is on, the electoral body has raised several concerns about the issue of vote buying. However, some civil society organizations have alleged that the federal government's Trade the Money initiative is a form of vote buying. An INEC chairman has promised to look into the allegation.
We have a mechanism for tracking campaign finance, but this doesn't fall in terms of campaign finance, in terms of the expenditure by candidates and parties. But yes, we'll study all the comments we have heard from people on that particular scheme, and then we see if it's related to the kind of thing that we should be tracking at the Independent National Electoral Commission. We'll track accordingly.
In the meantime, the Federal Road Safety Corps has slated February 5th as commencement date to certify the vehicles that will be used in conveying sensitive materials during the election.
Let's go back to Abuja studios where Linda is standing by with more stories. Hello, Linda.
Hello, Melinda. Welcome back to Abuja. The Code of Conduct Tribunal will resume sitting on the trial of a Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onnoghen, for alleged non-declaration of assets on February the 4th. This follows Wednesday's ruling of the Court of Appeal, which dismissed the application filed by the suspended CJN seeking to stop the trial. Justice Onnoghen had approached the Court of Appeal to stop his trial for alleged non-declaration of his assets, while he still has other pending applications challenging the jurisdiction of the CCT to try him, and another where he alleges that he was denied fair hearing by the chairman of the CCT and his colleague before his suspension was ordered. Nigeria's foreign policy has been a subject of intense debate in recent times. If there have been changes or things have remained the same. The Nigerian Institute of International Affairs in Lagos has held a one-day conference to discuss the country's performance on the global stage. Our foreign affairs correspondent, Amarachi Ubani, reports.
Under a depressed economy.
The conversation has been going on for months until the NIIA decided it was time to discuss among themselves. Gathered here are members of the Institute, foreign affairs professionals, and professionals from other institutions of government with relations to the international community. The better part of the discussion is taken up by the chairman of the ICPC, Professor Bolaji Owosonoye, and Professor Alaba Ogusonwo on Nigeria's anti-corruption policy and her relations with Africa's current biggest donor, China.
Nigeria-China relations can be said to have received far more space than relations with any other BRICS country. The reason is clear. This is an area where government activities have been more prominent, with Nigeria's head of state being at the forefront of such interactions, having visited on 2 momentous occasions and directly requested from his Chinese counterpart assistance in the area of development.
Whereas there's a lot of cynicism at home about the fight against corruption and is not succeeding, the impression outside Nigeria is completely different. It's completely different, especially with asset recovery, because it is a very difficult terrain to travel.
Do others think the same? That Nigeria's anti-corruption policy has impressed the international community?
Much of what he said is correct, except that there was too large an element of advocacy in what he was saying. As if to suggest that everything that is being done now is perfect. There is no room for improvement. That is where I worry.
The Nigerian elite is divided. The Nigerian population is also divided. The Nigerian state is also divided. So the divisive tendencies will not make anybody, will not make a lot of people, to appreciate at the local level.
All aspects of Nigeria's foreign policy are examined in this full day of discussions, which have been full of diplomacy. But will diplomacy sharpen the direction of Nigeria's foreign policy? Time remains the best fortune teller. Amarachi Ubani, Channels Television News.
The federal government is implementing a new plan named Project 100 to evolve and empower large-scale Nigerian-owned and operated companies to derive greater share in the oil and gas sector's annual contribution to the GDP. The aim is to take the initial concept of local content and raise it to the level of global competition, as opposed to only a greater share of the Nigerian and African oil and gas market. Stakeholders say capacity building, access to capital, market access, policy interventions, and research and development are key pillars upon which government will facilitate the growth of a new Nigerian grants in the sector. Our correspondent Ajuri Ngilali reports.
Local content has long been synonymous with indigenous contracting and project execution. But with the implementation of Project 100, all institutions of government in the oil and gas sector are now coordinating the organic development of indigenous companies, from small-scale operations to international industry leaders. International auditing giant KPMG instituted an independent performance evaluation of local oil and gas firms from across the sectoral value chain to identify an initial group of 60 overachieving firms. Government regulators and supply chain operators will now give these select Nigerian companies all necessary support to lead the industry on a global scale.
The key points that stood out include the importance of upload of quality data onto the Onnoghen JQS platform by service companies. It is also evident there is need to demonstrate compliance with Nigerian content requirements as well as other federal government requirements as a business person in this country.
Citing the case of Aliko Dangote, officials emphasize that it is not primarily the pursuit of profit that drives global business leaders, but rather the spirit of excellence.
If you've dealt with Aliko and see how much energy it takes to meet appointments, sometimes it calls me at 12 midnight, Mr. Please, can I see you have something very urgent? And he drives to your house. He's a billionaire. It doesn't need to work as hard as it does, but it continues to. It doesn't need a refinery, but it's building one. It doesn't need a petrochemical plant, but it's building one. The truth is, when I see him, I don't see Aliko, I see the spirit of the Nigerian person. The fact that Nigerians can get to the very limit.
Awardees say this unprecedented move of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration will reap unprecedented results.
We in America many years ago, when the grain system was coming and all that, they also went through this to create the economy of the United States. Russia did it, Japan did it. This is the first time we are talking about it, and it's unfortunate that we waited for so long time. So this Project 100, I believe, is a new economic building block for wealth creation, for large businesses.
Enterprise combines with national pride on a day when excellence is rewarded and mediocrity is challenged to raise its game. Ajuri Ngilale, Channels Television News.
And that's all from Abuja. Back to you, Melinda.
Thank you so much, Linda. And now let's look at what's happening in the world of business. The OPEC output is down this month and has details.
Thanks a lot, Melinda. Welcome to Business News. We begin with oil supply from the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. It has fallen this month by the largest amount in 2 years, and that's after OPEC, Russia and other non-members agreed to reduce output by 1.2 million barrels starting this month. Latest survey by Reuters shows that the 14-member cartel pumped 30.98 million barrels per day this month, and that's down 890,000 barrels from December, and that's the largest month-on-month drop since January 2017. The biggest drop in supply came from Saudi Arabia, which pumped 350 barrels per day, less than the month of December. Output from Iran dipped as U.S. sanctions discouraged companies from buying its oil. The survey also indicates that Nigeria, Algeria and Iraq are among the countries showing lower compliance as they reduced output in January, but then pumped more than their target. A massive 220 billion naira is lost in Nigeria's equities market. And in the last trading session in the month, broadly red, following increased sell-offs in key bellwether stocks. Let's hear more from Chimize Obiwago.
Hello, Anne, and welcome to the Stock Market Report. The equities market remained in the sea of red as the bears maintained their grip, with risk-averse investors taking profits on major stocks. The sectoral chart says it all. The banking sector took the heaviest beating, with all the banking names in the red. The consumer goods was next, no thanks to Nigeria breweries. It's all panic as the month ends today. Now see where the panic has landed the overall index back into the 30,000 mark, down almost 2%. This sell down is also reflected on the activity chart. Look at the huge volume traded there today, over 349 million shares, and the value about 3.5 billion naira in 4,228 deals. Friday is 1st of February, the beginning of the election month, and traders do not see this panic abating anytime soon. But we can only hope for the best. And that was the stock market report. I'm Chimezie Obi Iwagu. Back to you, Anne.
Thank you, Chimezie. I would always hope for the best. Strong earnings from Facebook and General Electric have boosted performance on stocks on Wall Street, especially the S&P 500 on the final trading day in January. But let's find out how major markets ended today. That's business news for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwaudu.